The daily habits and diet of Jesus. What did he really eat? Have you ever wondered what Jesus ate, how he lived day to day, and what habits shaped his life? While the Bible doesn't provide a detailed schedule of Jesus' daily routine, it does offer enough clues for historians and scholars to piece together a surprisingly clear picture. His lifestyle was simple, active, and deeply connected to faith, community, and the natural foods available in first-century Judea. Let's explore the diet and daily habits of Jesus. What did Jesus eat? Jesus lived in the ancient Israel roughly 2,000 years ago. The typical diet of the region was simple and based largely on what could be grown locally. Bread was a staple food and likely eaten every day. Most bread was made from wheat or barley and baked in simple ovens. Bread appears throughout the Gospels and was so central to life that Jesus used it as a symbol of spiritual nourishment, saying, "I am the bread of life." Fish was one of the most common sources of protein. Several of Jesus' disciples were fishermen, and fish appears repeatedly in biblical accounts. Jesus famously fed thousands of people with loaves and fish, and after his resurrection, he is described as eating fish with his disciples, fruits and vegetables. People in the region commonly ate figs, grapes, olives, dates, pomegranates, lentils, beans, cucumbers, onions. These foods form the foundation of a Mediterranean-style diet rich in fiber and nutrients. Olive oil. Olive oil was used extensively for cooking, dipping bread, and preserving foods. It was one of the most important agricultural products of the region. Wine was commonly consumed because clean drinking water was not always readily available. Biblical references indicate that Jesus drank wine, including at the Last Supper and at the wedding in Cana. However, wine was often diluted and consumed differently than many modern alcoholic beverages. Honey was one of the primary sweeteners available. Refined sugar did not exist in the way we know it today. What did Jesus probably avoid? There is no evidence that Jesus followed a special diet for health or fitness purposes. However, as a Jewish man of his time, he likely followed Jewish dietary laws. This would have included avoiding foods considered unclean under the law of Moses, such as pork and shellfish. His diet was also naturally free of processed foods, refined sugars, fast food, artificial additives, simply because those products did not exist. Daily habits of Jesus. Now let's look beyond food. The Gospels reveal several habits that appeared consistently throughout Jesus' life. Early morning prayer. One of the clearest patterns was his commitment to prayer. The Gospel of Mark states that Jesus often rose very early, before daylight, to pray in solitude. Rather than beginning the day with distractions, he began with reflection, prayer, and connection to God. Walking everywhere, Jesus traveled primarily on foot. His ministry involved constant movement between villages, towns, and cities. Historians estimate he may have walked thousands of miles during his ministry. This level of daily physical activity would be considered significant exercise by modern standards. Periods of solitude. Although Jesus spent much of his time teaching crowds, he frequently withdrew to quiet places. The Gospels repeatedly mention him going into the wilderness, mountains, or isolated locations to pray and rest. These periods of solitude seem to provide renewal and focus. Fasting was another important practice. Before beginning his public ministry, Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness. Fasting was a common spiritual discipline in Jewish tradition and was used for prayer, reflection, and self-control. Sharing meals with others. Jesus spent a remarkable amount of time eating with people. Many important conversations in the Gospels occur around a table. He shared meals with friends, disciples, religious leaders, and ordinary people from every social background. Meals were not merely about food. They were opportunities for teaching, fellowship, and community. What can we learn from Jesus' lifestyle? Whether someone approaches the topic from a religious perspective or a historical one, several themes stand out. Jesus lived simply. His diet consisted mostly of whole foods. He remained physically active through walking. He devoted time to prayer and reflection. He practiced fasting. And he placed great importance on relationships and community. In many ways, his lifestyle resembles principles that modern health experts often recommend today: natural foods, regular movement, meaningful social connections, and time for mental and spiritual renewal. Conclusion: the Bible doesn't present Jesus as a health guru or nutrition expert. His focus was spiritual rather than dietary. Yet the glimpses we receive from history and scripture reveal a life marked by a sea,